Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It is the Thursday, May 5th edition of the show. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And, of course, the whole world is going crazy. It feels like it's Cinco de Mayo, by the way. Happy Cinco de Mayo, Chris. You drinking a margarita tonight?
I am not.
I might have a little glass of tequila myself because it's been an absolutely insane week. One, to do with the NCAA and all of the other things that are going on with the transfer portal deadline, but also they are attempting to change some stuff with NIL. They are attempting to change the transfer portal window. You've got the end of the NFL draft as of this past weekend. Just a lot of news that has been going on this week, and it's been a crazy week at work. I don't know about you, but it seems like it's been more insane this week than usual, which is already always insane. So, are you going to see Doctor Strange this weekend?
I'm going tonight.
Very nice. Okay, I'm going on Saturday.
Hey, you know my boy. You know my boy Fletchy.
Oh, I do.
He's all into this stuff, and he always gets me thinking. And I feed him about 3 times a week, and he makes sure I have a seat at the movies.
Well, very nice, very nice. I am going to Alabama this weekend, and I will be watching it in the IMAX Dome at the McCoy Science Center in downtown Birmingham. So I went ahead and got our tickets.
I don't know what a IMAX Dome is. What is that?
So the original IMAXs were the big curved screens that would it was almost like a planetarium, and you would sit kind of at an angle.
Yep, and you look at the sky.
You got it, and that's what this one is. So it should be interesting.
Right.
I haven't been to one in a while. I think there's one in Nashville, but there's not one here.
I got in a conversation with an old friend that I hadn't spoken to in, I bet 12, 13 years yesterday.
Gotcha.
And they were telling me that their daughter, who's a couple years older than me, lives in Dallas, and she's super excited about the Top Gun movie coming out because they have a 4D theater that is going to be playing Top Gun. And I thought, when is hang on, you have more than 3Ds out there, and you can go watch these movies? Like, we don't get this shit. We can't have that.
I don't even know what 4D would be. Like I
don't know. But apparently Top Gun's gonna come out in that damn movie theater, and I'm thinking, well, hell, I want to drive to Dallas.
That's I got to tell you, that is interesting.
Just a scant 8 hours away.
It's not bad. I mean, Dallas is not far. That's not bad. You brought up old friends and all that kind of stuff that you hadn't talked to in a while. I don't know. You saw this and you commented on it. The SEC coaches having beards. Yeah, do you remember seeing that? I guess it was last night, and all
Yeah.
I went ahead and put this on the screen here for everybody. But these SEC coaches,
only like 2 of them look good with beards. Okay?
Exactly.
So I look pretty decent with a beard when I have it taken care of halfway because it covers my face, and that's an important feature. I think a lot of these SEC coaches aren't like horrible-looking troll-like guys. To the point where the beard kind of hurts them. A few of them, it looked real good on.
Now this cracked me up. Saban having the colored-in beard where only part of it's gray. It's like, guys, this guy's 70 years old. Like what?
No, Saban having the colored-in hair made the beard look weird because the beard was pretty salt and peppery.
Oh yeah.
The hair was super brown, and I thought that's not even like I hate this son of a bitch, and that's not even nice. Okay.
Oh my God.
Like,
I put out that it looks like I went to high school with a bunch of these guys, but it does crack me up looking at this. I mean,
No. I mean, we at our age now, every guy I know at our age, unless they work in like a professional world where you're not allowed to have beards, which I think those places do. I don't know a single friend that doesn't have a beard.
No, the Shane Beamer one, you said he looked like Derek Carr. I believe that. Brian Kelly, Silver Fox.
He looks like Derek Carr.
Oh, he really does. He really does. And the beard thing kind of brings it out a little bit more because you have to focus on his eyes more. The
eyes and the nose, that center area of his face And the beard is really dark black, and he's got really dark black hair. So, see, Shane Beamer is one of these where the beard really hurts him.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good-looking man. Right?
Jimbo Fisher.
A handsome dude, and the beard, like, really takes away from how of a good-looking guy he is.
Oh, big time. The Jimbo Fisher one, he looks like he works in turf management, like at a golf course or something.
He looks like he hasn't, nobody's put a comb through that beard in about 9 weeks. So, I mean, it doesn't help the fact that they gave him a scraggly-ass one. See, I'm doing all this out of memory. How was I bad at school? I remember I saw that picture last night at like 8 o'clock, and I know exactly what every one of them looked like from memory right now.
Oh, yeah.
Driving down the damn road. How was I a bad student?
Bill Conley, he tweeted out and said Eli Drinkwitz looks like somebody that follows My Morning Jacket around on tour. Oh man, Mike Leach looks like he runs a feed shop.
Mike Leach looks exactly like a Duck Dynasty guy.
Oh yeah,
and he probably fit in pretty well with those guys.
So, and then Mark Stoops, I can't even decide about Mark Stoops. I mean, that is just.
Well, so I'm going to tell you this: some of these pictures they did really bad. I know a lot of people like to give Heupel shit. Heupel's not that fat. I'm that fat. Heupel's not that fat.
No.
They took the shittiest picture. That is a picture my mom would have taken of me and shared it out. Just taking the absolute worst picture you could possibly take of somebody and said, "Look at this.
Look at this."
That's wrong.
No,
that's wrong.
You ain't wrong about that.
Josh Heupel is a piece of chubster, all right, but he ain't that damn fat. Whew. That picture makes him look like he's my size.
No, that thing cracked me up. Shout out to SEC football vids on Twitter for that. That was
fun.
Very entertaining. Very entertaining.
Brian Kelly was a handsome,
he was
man.
Silver Fox indeed. Let's talk about some of the topics for today. Again, it is Cinco de Mayo. So over the last couple of days, obviously we had the end of the NFL draft, and now you were getting some of the responses, some of the reactions from the current NFL players as to some of the guys that may be coming in to these organizations to replace them. And one of the ones that popped up, we had a press conference with Ryan Tannehill, and Ryan Tannehill said it is not his job to mentor Malik Willis, of course, the quarterback out of Liberty that was drafted by the Tennessee Titans. He said it would be a great thing if he learns from me. This article in USA Today by Ben Arthur kind of goes through it. First, we find out that Ryan Tannehill had to go to therapy after the season-ending loss to the Bengals in the playoffs. Remember, the Titans were the number 1 seed overall. They would have hosted the AFC Championship game if Ryan Tannehill basically doesn't throw 3 interceptions and lose them the game, right? They were set up for a trip to the Super Bowl, or at least a good opportunity for it, because they would have hosted the Chiefs. And instead, they lose to the Bengals.
Gary, they would have been a massive underdog to the Chiefs.
Oh yeah, but they would have had the game at home at least.
That doesn't matter. In playoff football, man, that stuff just doesn't matter anymore.
Agreed.
What matters is talent, and Ryan Tannehill and this Titans team wasn't the number 1 overall seed team to begin with. That record was fraud because they got to play 3 teams that didn't have a quarterback worth an absolute shit.
No. You are not wrong about that. And now they have Malik Willis.
16 games, 17 games, they got to play 3 special needs quarterbacks. That's just not okay.
So here's what Tannehill said. He said that's part of being a quarterback in the same room. We're competing against each other. We're watching the same tape. We're doing the same drills. I don't think it's my job to mentor him, but if he learns from me along the way, that's a great thing. I don't know. It's just a little strange, right? He said, I texted Malik right after we drafted him. I wasn't informed of the selection beforehand, but same thing with trading AJ. The team is going to do the best thing that they think is in the best interest of the team. I have no problems with Malik. We're looking to add talent and guys that can help us, so we'll add him to the room and go from there. Tell me, I always find it a little weird because this is not the first time that this has happened. I mean, we've seen this happen all the way dating back to Brett Favre. Brett Favre did not want the Packers to draft Aaron Rodgers. And maybe it helped Aaron Rodgers grow a little bit, or maybe it made him that much more of, what's the nicest way to say prick? How do you say that? He's got a chip on his shoulder all the time, right?
No,
so,
but I think he was always a prick. Like,
I think that too.
I don't think Favre made him a prick. Like Tom has got a chip on his shoulder.
Yes,
but Tom's not a prick. Like,
so, but none of the Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously one of those guys that I don't know that Tom Brady necessarily mentored him, but it was somebody that Jimmy G could learn from.
We need to stop. We need to stop. We need to have a semantics lesson right now. Okay,
Oh,
we
go
need
ahead.
to have a conversation about words. Okay, mentor is somebody who you spend deep emotional time with, that you listen to and learn from outside of work, outside of your life. Now you're talking about, I want you to mentor me professionally, like in our work. Oh, you mean you want to learn under me? I think that's a different thing. Okay, a mentor is somebody who's going to give you life advice and who's going to teach you things that are outside of the realm of the game and whatever. Listen, they drafted Malik Willis. He can't learn anything from Ryan Tannehill. They drafted him because he's not Ryan Tannehill.
Agreed.
Right? They drafted him, so they don't want him to learn shit from Ryan. All right. Now, what Ryan needs to understand, and all these other quarterbacks also need to understand, is it's not your job to be a mentor. It is your job to be a teammate. Okay.
Yes.
And if you ever go down and or get benched, it is still your responsibility to the team, to the organization, to the fans, to make sure that guy behind you is ready for success. All right? That he's prepared. You put the damn headset on the sidelines. You hold the clipboard. You give him notes when he comes over to the sidelines. And it doesn't matter if he took your job because he's better than you or if he got it because you were hurt. It is your responsibility to be a teammate, not to just that one person, but to everyone on the roster.
Agreed.
That's what's important.
Agreed.
All right? And I think these guys think that, I'm not going to teach them anything. Oh, you're not? When we're watching film, I can't tell you. I mean, golly, it's been decades since I've been in a locker room watching film. But I can't tell you how many times Jordan Pettit and Kelvin Bell pulled me aside and showed me what I was doing wrong to go against them every day in practice. Because they knew it was better for the team for me to be better. Because when we get into the game, I'm not going against them anymore. And they want me to make sure my technique is right, my steps are right, and I know what I'm doing. Okay? Yeah. So it's Ryan's responsibility to the organization. And all these other pricks, by the way, Joe Flacco, all these guys, for some reason people lump Tom in with this, and I take umbrage with that. Tom took Jacoby Brissett and Jimmy Garoppolo with him everywhere, not just football. I mean, that was more of a mentorship. They went to his place in Montana when he passed with receivers in the offseason. They went to the Derby together. Like, he got the suite. He paid for everything. He called them the Wolfpack. Like, he did all of that.
Yes.
That's more mentorship than anything.
Yes, I agree. And no, I think you're right. I think there is a problem with the certain words that are used, right? And in this situation, I don't know that Ryan Tannehill is the bad guy here. I think the situation is people were already kind of out on Tannehill anyway.
Yep.
There's a way that you could have rephrased that to make it, hey, I'm going to do my job to be the best teammate that I can be, as opposed to it's not my job to be a mentor. Like, there's certain ways you can phrase this, right? Like,
I'm gonna yes, yeah, well, yeah. He didn't phrase it right, but he also I know he was asked a question. Okay, so he's answering the question. All right. So I'm not blaming him for that. He didn't come out and just openly say this. And I know, but here's the thing: he was asked that question by a media member, but he wasn't asked that question by the front office. He wasn't asked that question by the coaching staff. Because I'm going to bet you a lot of money that the front office and the coaching staff doesn't want him mentoring them. All right. I was in the business of hiring managers that worked under one office under me. Okay. All right. And when I brought a new manager in, and I had a manager that wasn't real good, I made it really important to that person that I brought in. You learn from me. Okay. Everybody in this office has assets and good traits, but I needed to keep them away from the person that was going to pull them down. It was going to teach them bad habits.
That makes sense.
And I didn't want them learning under them. All right. And it wasn't until that person got gone until we kind of cleaned up the locker room and in the office and just kind of, everybody got together and we started helping each other a little more, so it didn't seem like we were just singling this bad egg out. Okay, so this is the issue, and this is the problem. Is he's asked the question, so he's got to answer it. But trust me, nobody in the world is asking him to mentor this kid.
I agree.
Malik can do things he cannot, and outside of being able to probably study film, and he knows the playbook better than Malik. I don't know how you teach him that.
No, I don't think you do. I'm with you on this. I think that there are better ways that he could have phrased it, regardless of how the question was asked or anything like that. I think he talked himself into a hole, and you can't get back out of that. So, he's going to be looked at.
He's not good at playing quarterback, and he's also not good at handling questions that are tough. Like, apparently, this guy has a problem under pressure.
I think we might have already known that. Speaking of pressure, and what a transition for this one, Scott Frost is now under a lot of pressure because this man has got he's suspended for 5 days during the season. He has a 1-year show cause, all kinds of different things. Let me switch it over so I can put the website on the video. Lots of different things here. Basically, the story here is that they broke the rules for countable coaches. And this was during the 2020 season. So all these different podcasts and whatnot that came out and had this quick reaction talking about, the special teams were awful last year. And this was during the COVID season, the 2020 year. And the guy that was the analyst that apparently was an on-field coach was basically an 11th guy as opposed to the 10th guy. That was John Rutledge, who is a former special teams guy, assistant guy. He's covered all kind of different things at Auburn. He was at Ole Miss in like 2007 through 2010, I believe. That was under Houston Nutt, etc. But the situation here is basically he had the guy. The coach has been fired, by the way. He was fired in January 2021. So before this season ever got going, any kind of practice, whatever, it's a level 2 punishment for being aware of the violation and not acting. His suspension will take place at some point during the fall football season. So the situation here, basically, you can't have more than 10 on-field assistants. Only 10 guys are allowed to work with the players. Now, I believe that if you I believe that this is going on everywhere, right? Like it's one of the things.
I'm 100% positive it's going on everywhere.
Well, look at Tennessee. One of the violations that Jeremy Pruitt had at Tennessee was the fact that Phil Fulmer came down as an AD and was watching practice and actually got out on the field, and they got like a small reprimand from the NCAA for it. It wasn't anything that was a huge deal because it was a 1 or 2 time thing. This apparently happened for the entire season. I am certain, like you said, that it is happening everywhere. But if you are a coach that is, one, we know that Frost ruffled some feathers when it came to, all of the we want to play, all that kind of stuff, because Nebraska was ready to just break from the Big Ten for the 2020 season if the Big Ten was not going to play football. All that stuff during the COVID year, they were ready to just do whatever. And he might have ruffled some feathers for some other programs, etc. So when people found out about this, it became even more of an issue. I don't know that a lot of people are going to get bumped for this, and this isn't like a huge thing. The 1-year show cause, which most people associate with that, with being suspended, etc. Basically, all that happens in this situation is the school has to show the NCAA why they want to keep him as their coach, which becomes an even more difficult prospect when you are 15 and 29 in your career at that school, like Scott Frost is. But I'm curious your thoughts here on, was it harsh enough? Was it, too harsh? Was it I'm curious what you thought about it.
Well, I hate these rules, and I hate that we have rules that they don't enforce consistently, because we know every other team does this. We just know they do, right?
I mean, the perfect example, the Alabama National Championship game where they fired Lane Kiffin. So. Yep.
After the first game, the playoff game, they fired Lane Kiffin, and a week later, supposedly an analyst who's never had any contact with the students before is now the OC. No relationship with these guys, but he's going to call plays for them because he knows everything about them and they know everything about them. You know?
Yep. He happens to be the head coach at Texas now. For those that don't know the story there.
But like it's just garbage that they. This is why people hate the NCAA is because their lack of consistency with anything. They seem to pick and choose teams that they go after, and you could kind of see like. The writing on the wall with Nebraska is very clear. Nebraska pissed off in 2020, the Big Ten. And so the Big Ten is now saying, hey, NCAA, we don't give a shit if you go after them. We don't care what you do. All right? You know, hit them with the postseason ban, which doesn't really hurt them because they're not making the postseason. But what it does do is it keeps them from getting their share of the money for that year. So now we get split whatever the postseason money is between one less team. Yeah. You know, those types of things, the Big Ten just isn't there to protect them. And so the NCAA is like, great, we'll go after somebody and make it look like we're actually doing something. That's my problem there.
The thing that cracks me up, the other part of this is the fact that everybody assumed it was for the 2021 season. And no,
well,
this was
because of how long it takes the NCAA
exactly.
to actually do shit.
That's why everybody gets pissed.
The reason we get it wrong is because the NCAA, we can't imagine that it would take that long for the NCAA to come up with this, right?
Yeah, this guy has been fired.
Trying to chase down a bag man. This isn't like you're not trying to get like give some student immunity to like get testimony. Like we know what happened here. This is not hard. It still took them 2 years to do it.
That's the guy, Jonathan Rutledge. Let's see, where is he now? He is he's a special teams coordinator, wide receivers coach at the Catholic University of America. I mean, he got fired in January of 2021. Like, what are we even? Why are we still talking about this? Like, it's so crazy.
I don't. Like I said, this is somebody. And it could be somebody at Nebraska saying, "Hey, NCAA, you want to help us out here?" We wouldn't hate getting out. We wouldn't hate getting out of this contract for calls.
Oh yeah. They've got plenty of different reasons to do it. And now, of course, they got the buyout lessened because
the buyout's lessened. They don't necessarily need the calls, but anyway, neither here nor there. These rules are dumb. They don't enforce them consistently, so it makes it to where I don't give a shit when they do enforce it, or I really care when they enforce it because it's not consistent. Whatever. Nebraska's not very good. All right, let them use all the fucking coaches they want. They're not winning football games. They're not winning meaningful football games.
Yeah, we'll see what Casey Thompson does with them this year, but I would not imagine a Big Ten West championship is in their future. So we'll see. They might could make a bowl this year. I would imagine. Hey,
do you see the total?
Oh, I sent it to you. The over under is 7.5.
And the juice?
Yeah, to go under 7.5 is plus 120 over at FanDuel right now.
That's just stealing money.
Oh, it is.
Listen, they might win 8 games, and you might lose that bet, but that's the greatest bet of all time. Like that. Yeah, that's just free money right there.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let me do some podcast reads. Go to winningcureseverything.com. That's the website. Everything you need to know about us, you can find right over there. Along with that, subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel. The podcast you can find anywhere that you get your podcasts. We would recommend Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Those are the easiest ones, of course. And those will allow you to leave a 5-star review, a written review on the Apple Podcast. If you would, we will read those out from time to time. So go ahead and toss those in there. We certainly appreciate it. It helps us out with the algorithm and all the other mess that's going on there. As far as the YouTube goes, jump in the chat. We like to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you think, your opinions on these topics. So go ahead and dive in with it. And along with that, go ahead and share the show out. Tell your friends about it. Jump in the comments, whatever else. We are on Twitter. I am at Gary WCE. Chris is at Chris B. Giannini. And the show is at Winning Cures. We are looking around at advertising for the football season. So if anybody is interested, if you want to get out in front of, by the way, we hit between website, podcast, and YouTube, we hit over 600,000 impressions last year. So that's just from August through February. So go ahead and hit us up for that. That basically beginning of football season, fall camp, all that through the Super Bowl. So not too bad. We almost tripled what we did from the year before that. So not too shabby. We are continuing to grow here. You can also find my smiling mug over at BetUSTV.com. And we just did a big to-do with my buddy Flash Gordon from Flash Gordon sounds funny. His name is Gordon Watson. His name's Flash. He and I talked about the Kentucky Derby over there. So you can find it at BetUSTV.com. All right, Chris, there's a lot going on in the legal world, and everybody has decided that the route that college football is taking is the wrong direction. Sports Illustrated has an article up that says SEC and Pac-12 to pitch Senate on NIL legislation and athletes' employment status. Basically, because they could not get it done with the NCAA, Mark Emmert went and talked to the House of Congress and all this other stuff, and he couldn't get anything done. And during the not coaches meetings, but the big admin meetings in Scottsdale this week, here is what the article says from Ross Dellinger. Amid unrest within college sports, 2 Power 5 commissioners are traveling to the nation's capital to lobby lawmakers for the creation of federal legislation to regulate name, image, and likeness, a U.S. Senate aide told Sports Illustrated on Wednesday. It says, on Thursday, which would be today, Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff and SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey will meet with U.S. senators on Capitol Hill to fight for a congressional mandate to regulate what has evolved into the NCAA's latest festering problem. Sankey and Kliavkoff, 2 of the industry's most influential leaders, which might be a bit strong for Kliavkoff. I don't know that he's the most influential right now, but either way. It says they are teaming up to encourage lawmakers to pass an NIL statute. They are also expected to seek senators' help in preventing what they believe is another potential issue looming for college sports, employment status for college athletes. We've only been at this for 10 months now, and it has already become such an issue that they are going back to the senators, back to legislators, and trying to get something done because they know that if the NCAA tries to block anything when it comes to NIL, which I'll talk a little bit more here in just a minute about the NCAA threatening some of these collectives, they're not going to be able to do anything because the Supreme Court during the Austin case last year basically told them, if y'all try and put any kind of restrictions on this, on what these kids can make, we are going to crush you. Like, that was the opinion from Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court justice. What are your thoughts on what's going on here? Why would Sankey and Kliavkoff want to get involved in this?
Because their school presidents are upset and are yelling and screaming, and or their athletic directors are upset and they're yelling and screaming, and or the major coaches involved are upset and they're yelling and screaming.
I did see this. Front Office Sports said that it was being pushed heavily by Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, which immediately made me think of the conversation you and I had on the show at some point last year when all this stuff was going on, and Nick Saban was like, do we want this? Do we want boosters getting involved like this? Do we want all this stuff going on? And everybody took that as a warning, and I took it more as Nick Saban doesn't want boosters involved with his program.
Yep.
And I think that might be what we're looking at. Like, hey, what can we do to get these guys out of the way? Right? Like, I think that's what's happening. But it's so weird to see, and I understand Sankey would do that for his coaches. I'm curious about Kliavkoff. Like, he's brand new at this. One, what kind of influence is he going to have? And two, who over in the Pac-12 would he be interested in doing this for? Like, wouldn't he be better served?
Everybody not named USC.
And that might be the thing there.
That's the issue. He's got 12 schools that he has to answer to right now, and 2 of them are thrilled about this, and the other 10 are absolute rip shit pissed.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I could not imagine Stanford getting involved with this.
Everybody says, "Oh, Saban tried to warn everybody about going fast." And look, he perfected it. He mastered it. No, he didn't master anything. He gets more talent than everybody.
Yes.
So he just stopped getting big, slow, strong guys and started getting really fast, athletic guys.
Yes.
But he gets more talent than everybody else. He doesn't like this, and Kirby doesn't like this because now, for the first time ever, one of them two doesn't have the number one recruiting class in the nation. And why is it? Because no matter how much money they throw at people, they ain't getting what A&M's getting. Because until A&M was able to bring it above board, A&M obviously didn't have the system to pay these kids under the table the way Alabama and Georgia were.
Yeah.
It's not magic, guys. This is not magic. This is not something. They're not wizards, okay? They're just not. All right. Everybody can say all they want. Look at how Nick Saban puts guys in the NFL. Okay. Look at how Kirby puts guys in the NFL. Until this draft, Kirby hadn't been the greatest at putting guys in the NFL. We've had 3 different coaches at LSU, and every one of them put guys in the NFL. All right. We don't get those types of recruiting classes.
I tweeted about that, by the way. Did you see that?
No.
They were talking about the number of NFL players that have come out in the last 10 years or whatever it was, and LSU was right up there. It was Alabama, Ohio State, whoever, and LSU. And I said,
we just put 10, number 2 out of this draft, 10 players in the league. In the last 2 years, we're below 500.
Yes. And that's what I was saying is anybody that doesn't think that Brian Kelly is going to kill it at LSU is just fooling themselves.
No,
like it's
and Brian Kelly knew that also. And anybody who's upset about that at Notre Dame and wants to pop shots of he'll just get destroyed by everybody he was getting destroyed by when he played them in the playoffs. Yeah, he didn't have this kind of talent in the playoffs.
Nope, he sure did not.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Nick and them are mad because the rules are changing on them to balance out, the talent, to spread it around. Would you rather be fourth fiddle at Alabama or Georgia, or would you rather be king ding-a-ling somewhere else? Yeah. This is going to give opportunities to kids to go to schools like Cincinnati or go to Oklahoma State. Because if you're the best player at Oklahoma State, you're going to get a lot of money. You might be the 12th best player at Alabama. So now you're not going to get the depth you're used to getting. And so you're just not.
Let's keep it on NIL. I might have put the cart before the horse here. Part of the reason why I think that Sankey and Kliavkoff are going to the Senate is because of this other article from Dellinger from the day before. It says Task Force Too Big Money.
That's the article I actually saw.
Yeah, this one, the Task Force Too Big Money Boosters, NIL sanctions could be coming. And basically it says college leaders are gearing up to issue a warning to hundreds of wealthy boosters who are using NIL ventures to involve themselves in recruiting. Basically, they're going after these big collectives, right? What we've got at Miami with John Ruiz and that bunch, what we've got at Texas A&M, what Texas has put together, everybody has been putting together collectives, right? We see all this. But John Ruiz came in, and I don't know that it was in the SEC or in the the SI article, but John Ruiz, who is the billionaire booster down at Miami, he came out and said, hey, I dare you to do something about this. Like we were just talking about, he knows he would win in court, like because of what has happened. He said, John Ruiz said, we feel our platform is the only one in the country that truly would be resilient to any attack by the NCAA because we do have a quid pro quo. The payments are made electronically to them every 2 weeks. It's a pretty well-oiled machine. The whole thing is just like, now that this thing has been opened, how do you put as Pat Forty says, how do you put the toothpaste back in the tube? I don't think you can.
You can't. You can't. And this is what I love. Okay? Worthless pieces of shit like Mark Emmert does nothing for half a decade or over a decade to fix this problem when it's been looming all this time. And now that it's here and he has to do something about it, he can't just shoo it under the rug anymore because those damn poor college kids won't just go the fuck away. Okay? Yeah. Now that he has to do something, he's acting like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. No, you don't. You don't know what to do. Don't go to Congress and ask them to fix this. Do you see how bad Congress fucks up everything they touch?
Oh, yeah.
They can't fix this either. All right? You got a bunch of people that are really bad at problem solving who are getting paid gazillions of to problem solve, and they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right.
They don't know how to. They don't know. Listen, I love. Wetzel talked about. Maybe it was Pat 40. Talked about. Oh God, the BYU coach.
Holy Kalani Sitake. Yeah.
Coach Sitake talked about Coach Sitake saying, I ain't never seen 18-year-old kids with this much money before. Are we sure this is good for them? Man, they're going to piss it all away and go be broke. So it's better for them to have nothing and just be broke all the time than for you to give them money and them to fuck it off.
I think the idea of learning from your mistakes probably better than just never having the opportunity to do anything with it, right?
Yeah, these guys are going to make money. That's right.
Yes.
And that's offensive to a lot of people because they don't like these kids making a lot of money because when they were young, they didn't have a lot of money. Well, yeah, the world is different now. Okay, Grandpa? Moving along. You're only getting paid a lot of money because you're really good at coaching football. That's the only reason you're getting a lot of money. If you couldn't coach football, you'd be useless to society.
Yes.
Most of these coaches, less than useless.
Darren Heitner said in this, by the way, he's a Florida-based sports attorney. He said, either you let everyone do it or you enforce the rule. In essence, what's happening or will happen is those who are willing to violate the rule will be rewarded if nothing is done about it. Don't have a rule if you're not willing to enforce it. This isn't a matter of them not being able to do something, but will it further open itself to more litigation? Litigation it's probably going to lose. And that's the whole point of this, right? They already know.
This is what you and me talk about all the time, though.
Yeah.
Like, unenforceable rules, it just enrage me. They just enrage me. People make up rules all the time. We should have this rule, and we should have that law. And okay, that sounds fantastic. How do you enforce it?
Yes.
What do you do? What do you do when they break it? We're going to have that conversation now about tampering. All right? Every coach tampers. Every one of these schools tampers. What do you do when they break it? Do you just take them out back and shoot them? Like, what are we going to do? Because there's got to – hang on. You can't say you want this rule and then not have a plan or an idea for what to do when somebody breaks your rule.
Yes.
I know it's surprising to these guys who have been in control their entire lives and nobody has ever disobeyed them before. But somebody might disobey them. Somebody might break their rule.
Yeah.
And then they got to figure out what that plan is.
Yes, I'm with you. Let's take that into the transfer portal, okay? Transfer portal, colleges and, coaches, for the most part, are pushing for the NCAA to change the transfer portal windows. It's going to help them with roster management. And I can understand this. You and I discussed this, I want to say on the last show. It might have been maybe last week.
We just talked about this, right?
Yeah. But now the coaches are actually pushing for it. NCAA is looking into it. The two windows would come after the regular season and during the spring. So what we're looking at, basically, and I've got an article from CBS Sports pulled up about it, the AFCA is proposing a set transfer window, and it's going to start, basically, right after the final week of the regular season, so right after Championship Saturday, and it would go all the way into January. So then you've got, at one point in early January, like I think right after the national championship game, after that, then you get to focus on National Signing Day, because I believe they're going to do away with the early signing period. So it'll work right up until February 1st. You have that time to focus on recruiting like high school players. And then after that, you have, February through middle of April, and that's going to be your spring camp, whatever, where you're prepping for that. And then April 15th to May 1st would be another transfer portal window for you to jump in the portal. You don't have to sign with a team at that point. You just have to be in the portal at that point. There are a lot of player personnel people that are kind of against this because they're saying we don't have enough staff to be able to look at the number of kids that are going to jump in at those points, right? It's going to be kind of insane. But the difference there is, look, one, you guys get paid a lot of money. Okay, you can figure this out. And two is the kids don't have to sign immediately. Like, just because they have to be in by April or by May 1st doesn't mean, like Jordan Addison got in before the May 1st deadline, and he can sign at any point, and he will still be eligible. He just had to be in the portal. So I'm curious, they're eliminating the 25-man recruiting class for a little bit. Like, there was a limit on the number of kids you could sign out of high school. Well, obviously, you have a coaching change, something like that. You lose a ton of players in the transfer portal, whatever. You should be able to bring in more than 25 guys. So
you got to fill a roster. You do have to fill a roster. That's a player safety issue at some point in time.
Yes.
You got to have guys.
Yeah, they're going to fix that for a little, and it may only be 2 or 3 years.
You're giving more kids a scholarship, so it's not like you're.
Yeah. No, it's a market correction that will eventually be fixed, etc. But yes, I'm curious your thoughts here. Do you like these portal windows? I kind of dig it. I want to have a more regulated schedule. I like it.
Don't have a problem with the schedule. Don't have a problem with any of that. I don't want anybody to be able to stop these kids from doing what they want to do. And I'm okay with a window of time to say, hey, you got to be responsible. You got to be a grown up. By this day, you have to make your mind up if you're going to leave or not. All right? You don't have to leave by then, but you got to at least let somebody know this is when you're leaving. And I'm okay with that. The school's complaining that they don't have enough. Nebraska just got in trouble for having too much staff. These guys have way too much staff. Go look at the amount of money and the amount of people that work for these just football-only staffs. Please don't tell me you're understaffed. Everybody who works in the private sector of the world that actually has to make something for a living to get a living is working 3 or 4 jobs at one time at all times. And you literally have somebody who just is an offensive analyst that only handles passing plays. Like, that's your only job at most of these things. You're so specialized. Please don't tell me you don't have enough staff. I don't want to hear that bullshit. I just don't.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. By the way, yesterday, 25-year anniversary of the NCAA being beaten in court because they had capped how much assistant coaches could make. They got sued in federal court, and they lost. So that is why they
hang on, Gary. I would like somebody to look up and find a court case that the NCAA has actually won.
I don't know that there is
because
one.
I don't know that it's ever happened, which tells me this. Sue these motherfuckers because you're going to win, because they're that bad at everything they do. If that doesn't tell you that this organization should be disbanded, I don't know what else to tell you. They've never won a court case where they've ever been challenged.
That's what John Ruiz was saying. He said, try me.
Because they're bad at everything they do. And hang on, the reason they're losing court cases is because what they're doing is either unethical, immoral, or against governmental law.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they're doing. You're 100% right. 100% right.
I just don't know how these people have stayed in power, and we know their names. We know who they are.
It's certainly something. I can't wait to see who the next president of the NCAA is going to be, because that's going to be one hell of a job.
I'm not.
Got a lot to do with.
I am half tempted to send a resume in because I'm going to write a hell of a cover letter, and I'm just going to point out all these things that we talk about on the show about how inept they've been and how terrible they've been. You're not going to select me because I hate you, and I just probably try to bring the place down from the inside out. But I'm going to tell you, whoever you bring in, they do not need. Pat Forty has talked about this and written about this a couple of times now. They can't bring in another former athletic director or school president or Andrew Luck's daddy. Like, you can't bring somebody in from the college football committee. Like, it can't be somebody who's already in the guard. If you're a member of the country club, you don't need to be the person that gets this job. The problem is it's only people in the country club that are making the hire.
Yeah.
But they don't understand is if you want to keep the country club and you don't want the country club to go away, then you better bring somebody in that's not a member, because they'll be able to walk in, cut all the fat, get rid of everybody that's worthless, and actually try to start doing some good.
I think the Pac-12 was a little bit ahead of the curve on this. They understood this is not just the game has changed, right? George Kliavkoff had.
You can
go ahead.
You can say that they were ahead of the curve, Gary. I don't know if that's ahead of the curve or they were just so far below where everybody else is. Sometimes you've got to hit rock bottom before you say, you know what, we got to do something different.
Yeah.
And I think they had hit rock bottom. All right.
Oh, they certainly had. But bringing in Kliavkoff, who was at MGM and all that, who had.
I think he's going to do fantastic.
Yeah.
Hang on.
He had no experience.
Kliavkoff's there. I think Kliavkoff is there with Sly is because he's the only one that probably has the balls to go do it.
Probably so. With Sankey, by the way. Mike's last past few years ago.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I think you're right.
But it's because he's the only commissioner that says, "Fuck it, I'll go. Let's go." Hell, it could have been his idea. Hey, we got to do something, guys. We can't just sit on our ass.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
I don't know that he was selected, and I don't know if he was asked. I think it was either his idea or he put himself in that position, because that's what leaders do, by the way. Whether they're right or wrong, they at least go out and they lead.
Yeah, I think you're right.
First guy through the wall is always bloody. He's going to try to do something different, and that means he's going to get beaten up for it. He just did.
That's a good transition. Let's talk about something different. Let's move into the Mountain West Conference. By the way, we'll jump off transfers. The Mountain West likely to drop divisions by 2025, and this is per Brett McMurphy. I've got the article pulled up here. It said the Mountain West is giving strong consideration to eliminating divisions for the 2023 college football season. Sources told Action Network. One source was much more optimistic, indicating it is likely to happen next year. Said we've been talking about it and will continue. The NCAA Council this month is expected to approve a waiver allowing all leagues to play without divisions but still hold conference championship games. It will not require teams to eliminate divisions, but it does provide that option. I will imagine we will see more of this. Basically, a conference is guaranteed its two best teams in the championship game if it eliminates the divisions. Now, that way they would be better positioned for a CFP berth or a New Year's Six berth or whatever, right? I don't know of many conferences that are going to keep divisions once this waiver gets approved, right? Once they allow this, I think the divisions might be the way of the dodo, like, because you're always going to want your best options in there, and it would eliminate the threat of possibly having, like, you remember back in early 2000s, somewhere around there, Brett Bielema took a 7-5 Wisconsin team to the Rose Bowl. Like, I don't. We're not going to see that anymore because it will not be possible. So I'm curious. You think it's a good idea? Have we? I don't know that we've really talked a lot about this. I know we've brought it up before, but I don't know your opinion. I think this is okay.
So for you got to think about this. This is for the lesser conferences, quote unquote. All right, this is for those that they refer to as the G5. Even though many years the best of those groups are better than 2 or 3 of the Power 5 conferences. I think they need to make sure that their championship game is the 2 best teams, because that's just going to have more cachet. It's going to have them more bumped. So if you have divisions and you have 2 teams that are undefeated on one side of the bracket, and they play each other, and one of them finishes with 1 loss, and they're both ranked, okay? And your opponent on the other side in your conference championship game is a 4-loss school or a 3-loss school or whatever they are. That doesn't do anything for you. But if you let those 2 teams play again for the title, now you've got another big game. You have another ranked game to help you in the rankings, to get you into a bigger bowl, to maybe get you into the conversation of the playoff. And I think that's what's important.
Well, it's a perfect example of this, the 2020 season, Alabama and Texas A&M, right? A&M only had the 1 loss to Bama. I think they went 9-1 that last season. And Florida had 2 losses out of the East. Now, A&M would have been the contender here, the other championship game participant, if they had allowed this to go through at that point. So then you would not have had Alabama playing against Dan Mullen and Kyle Pitts and all that kind of mess. You would have had Alabama against Jimbo Fisher in that bunch again, and it would have given Texas A&M a shot to get into the college football playoff at that point.
That's right.
So I would imagine that they will start looking at this. The SEC especially will do away with this because they're going to have 16 teams. Like your entire conference schedule, if you do 2 divisions, is going to be only against the teams that are in your side. So you're going to have to do something to switch it up, right? And so I'm curious about it. I want to see how it works. I want to see what ends up going on. Obviously, it will eliminate a lot of people early from getting into a championship game, and that part might hurt the regular season a little bit because you won't have that 7-5 Wisconsin team that is playing out the stretch to get to the Big Ten championship game, right? Like normally in that situation, you start out the year 3-5 or whatever, but then you hit on a run and you're going through your conference slate, and all of a sudden you've got a shot to get to the Big Ten title game. And, you're a 7-5 team, but you made it. You're not going to have those kind of upsets come in anymore, and that could hurt. But it will give you some significantly bigger games as we get closer to the playoff and the postseason. So, you got to give a little bit, you got to take a little bit. I hate anything that takes away from the regular season, but, we've already destroyed the regular season as it is,
But I don't know. I don't know that these things take away from the regular season, though. Like, I hate that you're 1-1 against the team, and if you win the second time, you're the champion, or you move on, or whatever. I hate that.
Yeah.
But I understand that that's just a part of it. That's the way it is, and I don't know that means the regular season doesn't mean anything, because if A&M had lost that game, then they're probably not that next best team. What if Florida's better than them now? And they didn't play each other, and we got a 2-way tie for that second-place team.
Yeah,
You're going to want to let in the team that didn't already lose to the first-place team.
That is true. Yeah, the tiebreakers are going to be a little crazy.
I don't think this hurts the regular season. All these things that people say, this has hurt the regular season. No. What hurts the regular season? It might hurt a game in September. Okay? What kills this sport is if you lose in September. You play one of those big one-on-one matchups and you lose in September, then your chances of making the playoffs and getting in with 4 teams, it drops considerably. And that kills the sport. It doesn't reward anybody for getting better at all. At all.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're onto something here. I think you're right.
So if you lose 2 games in September and October, then November doesn't matter at all. Now a whole month doesn't matter.
Yeah, true. And that's all.
So who
due
says
to the
the regular season's important? No, it isn't important. If Auburn loses 2 games in September, then what the fuck's the regular season got? The rest of the season's done.
So again, prime example, Florida last year. They lost that 1 game to Alabama, lost a heartbreaker very soon after that, and they basically shut it down for the rest of the year. That team did not try.
Had nothing else to play for.
Yeah.
So all those people trying to quote-unquote protect the regular season, they just don't understand the mechanics of how the season actually plays out.
Yeah, okay. I can get with this.
Because it doesn't protect it. It doesn't at all. It just protects September. That's all it does.
That's a good point. All right, we've got a couple more topics that I want to hit on. Transfers. Bru McCoy has transferred to the University of Tennessee. I don't know if anybody really remembers him. He was a top 5 recruit.
Colt's brother.
Yeah, went all over the place. Well, no, not Colt's brother.
He's not Colt's brother?
No. He's from.
He started at Texas. So
yeah,
I kind of thought that he was Colt's brother.
No, they're different race altogether, my friend.
I don't know.
No, Bru McCoy he was a top 5 wide receiver. He committed to USC.
Never started a game, right?
He has since, but so here was his timeline. He committed to USC, decommitted, then enrolled at Texas. Never played at Texas.
He started at Texas, right?
Yes, he enrolled at Texas in February, like right after National Signing Day, and then over the summer transferred, and it looked like he was going to go to Oregon for a bit, I believe, but he ended up back at USC. He enrolled there. He played in the 2020 season for a little bit. He was hurt and did not play in the 2021 season, and now he's going to Tennessee. So he's got first-round wide receiver talent, but can he get it all put together, coming off injury, coming off whatever? Josh Heupel's offense will certainly, give him a chance to showcase. So we'll see what happens with that. The Jordan Addison news right now. Obviously, everybody was pinpointing USC, etc. You and I went back and forth on Twitter and whatnot about, if he doesn't go to USC, then what ends up happening? I'm curious what the backlash would be. And it is reported that he is actually out in California working out with Bryce Young, who is Alabama's quarterback. Now, I don't know that necessarily means anything. A lot of these guys that are from Cali go back after spring practice, and they all work out there with their trainers and specialized guys and whatever, special coaches. I'm interested in what's going to go on here. Do we have some kind of a bidding war going on? Is Alabama? Alabama needs wide receivers, obviously. But, they already went and got two of them. They got Tyler Harris, I think is the guy's name. No, Tyler something. I forget the guy's name. Out of Louisville, the guy that's, super fast. And they went and got Trey Burton out of Georgia. If he ends up going to Alabama, or say he chooses Tennessee or Texas, or it appears Texas is not out of this thing with him, is this just a money thing, or is this Addison getting himself in the best position to win and to go highly in the NFL draft? I'm curious your thoughts on that report that he's working out with Bryce Young.
I don't care. I do not care about these guys. Once you go into the portal, I don't give a shit what you do until you make a decision. I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play. Same thing I do with other recruiting stuff. I just don't care. I'm not going to follow Arch Manning around and wait and see if he picks a school. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Once if he picks a school with an A on it, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to hate it. So that. But this is how this. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I can't control it. I don't find it interesting.
It makes sense. Okay. I can understand that. There are a lot of people that do find it very interesting to see what these guys are going to do. But, that's my biggest interest in this. It's not necessarily, waiting on his every move to see where he's going to go. My interest is, what is the backlash? What does it mean going forward? Will it change anything? I would imagine if he does end up signing some crazy $3 million NIL deal for 1 year, we will almost immediately see a market correction depending upon what he does during the season. Addison was, we had 6 wide receivers go in the first round of the NFL draft, and this guy is the one that won the Biletnikoff for the best wide receiver. He's unbelievable. But we have seen guys have really good seasons and then drop back to the pack. If he doesn't play up to that $3 million price tag, then I'm curious what the market correction will be going forward. I think we talk about this all the time, that those 2 words, market correction. And it's going to happen a lot over the next couple of years with this. I don't know that the NCAA or Congress or anybody else needs to do anything with NIL and whatever else, with the transfer portal, all this. We will have a market correction eventually. Kids will not be as willing to jump into the portal once a lot of them no longer have a scholarship to go back to school somewhere. We will not have as many of these NIL deals thrown out when the kids don't play up to the level of money that they've been given. And these billionaire boosters and millionaire boosters are going to think, what am I doing? Why am I giving these kids that haven't proven anything all this money? Right? Jordan Addison has proven it. But, I'm curious the direction that it's going to go and what Addison ends up doing. The fact that he was out there working out with the Alabama quarterback, I think it might have shocked a few people, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. So we'll see what goes on with that. I want to close out with this one, and I will go ahead and pull it up on the screen for everybody. Chris, the tweet says, justice is not particularly blind. For example, when the Louisiana State University football team loses in an upset, it causes judges in Louisiana to add 1,296 days of punishment to juvenile defendants, including 136 extra days of jail time just because judges are in a bad mood. Have you seen this? The guy's name is Ethan Malik. He's a professor at Wharton that is studying innovation and entrepreneurship and ephemeria. It's a very interesting study, what he has done. And I don't think it should be super surprising to anybody, but he went through and made graphs and everything else, basically about the judges in Louisiana, and basically they're giving harsher sentences after an LSU upset loss, like when they're not expected to lose. When they do lose to somebody they're not supposed to, the sentencing is more harsh. I'm curious your thoughts on this. I don't think it's just an LSU thing. This is just the study that he did. But when I saw it, I immediately thought of you and thought, like this does make sense to me.
Well, this is one of the many huge flaws in our justice system. That is just a problem. That judges who have a biases towards someone or a liking towards someone else can give a harsher or lesser punishment. That is not justice. That is not balanced. That is not fair. And it's just depending on what you had for lunch, or did you find your wife cheating on you the night before, or did your football team lose a game the weekend before, all of a sudden now affects the life of someone else. Yeah, I've got massive problems with that, but it all stems around the fact, and now we're going to get political at some point, but that it all stems around the absolute corruption and flaws in our justice system that are disgusting and broken. I was a criminal justice major. There's a reason I didn't go into law enforcement. At any time, it's not that I was fat and I want to be a cop. I would have been the worst cop you'd ever known. But like, I can't handle it. I would put a target on myself and then I wouldn't have made it very long. But because I just can't handle it, and it's bad rules. You're asking humans to set aside their humanness, all of their flaws, and all of their personal issues, and make decisions on other people's lives. I just don't handle that very well at all.
Well, I think it just goes to prove, there are a lot of jobs, a lot of companies that require you to leave your personal life at home once you come into work. And I don't think it's that easy.
They all ask you to do that.
Right. It's not as easy.
There's nothing you could do about it, right?
Right.
But if Steve Jobs went into work one day pissed off because he found his wife railing some other guy, like that doesn't, like the iPhone's not going to suck, all right? Everybody's iPhone's not going to break, or somebody there's probably not going to get fired because we have hiring laws to protect them from like wrongful termination and stuff. So yeah, like you're not going to ruin someone's life because you have a bad day. Alabama loses. You're not going to go to the University of Memphis and ruin someone's life with your shitty job.
Agreed.
Right? I could do a bad job at my job, and I could really screw up something at work. But I'm not going to ruin someone's life. It's just going to be a lot more work for me fixing it.
Exactly.
It actually ruins people's lives, but they don't give a shit because the people coming through their courts, most people don't care about.
Yeah, it's a shame, but I am glad that somebody went through and actually studied it. His follow-up tweet.
Listen, let's not get this wrong, okay? Louisiana is kind of in the conversation with one of the most corrupt states in the country.
Oh, most certainly.
Like how business is done.
I mean, dating all the way back to Huey Long. Yeah, all that. Yeah. The follow-up tweet here
doesn't surprise me at all.
The follow-up tweet said, judges with degrees from the losing school were especially harsh in sentencing the next day. And it said, in answer to the question in the thread, it's not a correlational paper. It shows a casual relationship between judges' mood and sentencing. And then he goes through it. You can go through and read it. The guy's name, again, Ethan Malik. You can follow him on Twitter at EMOLLICK. Really interesting stuff. I mean, it's a really interesting. I tweeted it out. You can find it over at Gary WCE. But it's very interesting the way that he looked into this, because it goes pretty deep and it goes over years and years, and it's not gotten better. I will certainly say that. So, it's interesting. Interesting stuff, my friend. So anything else that you want to hit on today?
No, that's it.
All right, buddy. I'm going to let you go. I'll wrap this thing up.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Be good, buddy.
Bye.
All right. So that is going to do it for today's show. You guys have been fantastic. What a wonderful week to start off May. The weather has been pretty beautiful for the most part all week. And now, of course, we've got severe thunderstorms and all that kind of stuff going on outside while recording this. So with that said, we're going to jump out of here. You guys subscribe where you need to subscribe. Go visit the website. Again, if anybody's interested in advertising and all that, you can reach out to us. You can find me on Twitter at GaryWCE, or if you don't do the Twitter thing, I totally get it. You can email me, Gary@winningcureseverything.com. Very easy to do. Again, the impressions last year went through the roof during football season, and we are prepping for that. We're starting our college football previews on Monday. Starting off with the MAC East, so hopefully you guys are ready for that. With that said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and hopefully, all of your tickets cash this week.